Jennifer, be careful with Mother's crystal vase, Olivia whispered urgently to her twin sister, as they dusted the antique furniture in the once warm living room of their childhood home. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the windows, highlighting the exhaustion on their young faces. At just 8 years old, the identical twins had already endured more hardship than most children could imagine. The girls moved methodically through their cleaning routine, their small hands raw from harsh cleaning products. Their matching dark braids swung in sync as they worked, a reminder of days when their mother would lovingly style their hair each morning before school. Those days seemed like a distant dream now, buried beneath 6 months of grief and servitude. The Victorian mansion, once filled with laughter and music, now felt like a prison. Every room held memories of their mother, Caroline Foreman, whose sudden passing left a void that their stepfather, Benjamin Warren, filled with cruelty and greed. The girls hadn't stepped foot in a classroom since the funeral, despite their mother's fierce dedication to their education. "We need to finish before he comes back," Jennifer reminded her sister, glancing nervously at the grandfather clock. Benjamin's business meetings usually lasted until 5, and they had learned the hard way what happened when chores weren't completed to his exacting standards. As they worked toward Benjamin's study, they heard his voice drifting through the partially open door. He had returned early, and he wasn't alone. The girls froze, cleaning rags suspended in midair, as fragments of conversation reached their ears. "The paperwork is almost complete," Benjamin's smooth voice carried through the gap. "Once the trust fund transfer is finalized, we can proceed with the next phase." "And the children?" An unfamiliar male voice asked, tone heavy with concern. "The court appointed you as their guardian, but there are questions about their absence from school." "Those nosy social workers won't be a problem much longer," Benjamin replied, a hint of satisfaction in his words. "I've already made arrangements. By this time next month, the girls will be." His sentence was lost as he lowered his voice. Jennifer and Olivia exchanged terrified glances, their hearts pounding in perfect synchronization. They had always known their stepfather was cruel, but this was different. The cold calculation in his voice sent chills down their spines. "The insurance money from Caroline's accident was substantial," Benjamin continued, unaware of his audience. "Combined with the girls' trust fund, it's more than enough to execute our plan. Nobody will think to look too closely at a grieving widower relocating for a fresh start." Olivia's hand found Jennifer's, squeezing it tightly. Their mother's accident had always seemed suspicious, a fall down the main staircase that Benjamin claimed happened while he was out of town. Now, the pieces were falling into terrifyingly clear patterns. The twins backed away from the study door as silently as they could, their minds racing. They had no one to turn to. Benjamin had systematically isolated them from family, friends, and their mother's relatives, claiming it would be too painful for the girls to maintain contact while grieving. Their only remaining grandmother lived states away, and they didn't even know her phone number. As they retreated to the living room, Jennifer pulled her sister close and whispered, "We need to find Mom's old address book. Remember the red leather one she kept in her desk? There might be phone numbers." Olivia nodded, but before she could respond, the study door creaked open. The girls quickly resumed cleaning, hearts thundering as footsteps approached. They heard Benjamin saying goodbye to his visitor, his voice carrying its usual false warmth. "Remember, girls," Benjamin's voice cut through the silence moments later, making them jump. "This house better be spotless by dinner time, and don't even think about going into my study. You know that room is strictly off limits." As he disappeared up the stairs, Jennifer and Olivia shared a knowing look. In their mother's old desk in the study lay their only hope of escape, but with Benjamin's warning ringing in their ears, they knew getting to it would require perfect timing and courage they weren't sure they possessed. The grandfather clock struck 4, its deep chimes echoing through the silent house. They had 1 hour until dinner, 1 hour to either find a way to save themselves or resign to whatever sinister plan their stepfather had in store. The truth about their mother's death and their stolen inheritance hung heavy in the air, along with a question that chilled them to their core: would they be next? The twins worked in tense silence as the afternoon light faded. Every few minutes, they heard Benjamin's footsteps overhead, pacing in his bedroom. Each creak of the floorboards made them flinch, but their minds raced with memories that gave them strength, memories of a different time in this very house. 2 years ago, before Benjamin entered their lives, the Foreman family was happy. Caroline Foreman, a dedicated elementary school teacher, raised her daughters with endless patience and love after their father's death when they were toddlers. Jennifer and Olivia remembered Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, their mother's reading sessions in the garden, and the way she'd turn up the radio to dance with them in the kitchen. "Do you remember Mom's friend, Mrs. Henderson?" Olivia whispered, scrubbing a stubborn spot on the window. "The one who brought us cookies every Sunday after church?" Jennifer nodded, her eyes distant. "She tried to visit after the funeral, but Benjamin said we were too upset for visitors." She paused, lowering her voice. "I saw her trying to look in through the front gate last month, but Benjamin closed the curtains and made us go upstairs." The memory sparked something in Olivia's mind. Mrs. Henderson was Mom's best friend. Her number has to be in that address book. Her excitement was tempered by fear as another creak sounded from above. The girls had watched helplessly as Benjamin cut them off from everyone who might have noticed something wrong, first with the too grief-stricken excuse, then by withdrawing them from school, claiming he'd homeschool them while they processed their loss. The few times they tried to speak to neighbors over the garden fence, they were punished with no dinner and extra chores. Jennifer set down her cleaning rag and pulled Olivia into the window alcove, where heavy curtains shielded them from view. "We need a plan," she whispered. "Benjamin always takes his evening call in the garden at 6:30. He paces by the rose bushes, you can see him from Mom's old bedroom window." Olivia caught on immediately. "That's right next to his study, but what if he catches us?" Last time, she trailed off, rubbing her arm where a bruise was still fading. "We don't have a choice anymore," Jennifer replied, her young face set with determination. "You heard what he said, he's planning something worse than keeping us locked up here." She hesitated, glancing around before continuing, "and I don't think Mom's fall was an accident." The words hung heavy between them. They had both had suspicions, but speaking them aloud made them real. Olivia's mind flashed to that terrible night 6 months ago. They had been awakened by a crash, followed by Benjamin's shouts for help. By the time the ambulance arrived, their mother was gone. She was afraid of him, Olivia said suddenly, the realization hitting her like a blow. "Remember how she started keeping her important papers in that locked box in her desk, and how she made us memorize Grandma Rosa's address in Maine?" Jennifer's eyes widened. "The week before she died, I saw her crying in the garden. When I asked what was wrong, she hugged me tight and said everything would be okay." Her voice cracked. She was trying to protect us from something. A sudden thud from upstairs made both girls jump. Benjamin's footsteps moved toward the stairs. They quickly separated, resuming their cleaning with trembling hands as their stepfather descended. Olivia noticed something she hadn't before, a key ring hanging from his belt loop, glinting in the fading light. "Girls," Benjamin's voice was deceptively gentle as he entered the living room. "I'll be making important phone calls before dinner. I don't want to hear a single sound from either of you, understood?" "Yes, sir," they answered in unison, keeping their eyes down as he surveyed their work. "Olivia, you missed a spot on the mantel," he said coldly. "Both of you will skip dinner if this room isn't perfect when I return." As he strode toward his study, Jennifer caught a glimpse of something else on his belt, a second, smaller key ring with a familiar red leather tab, their mother's desk key. Benjamin had kept it all this time, assuming they'd never notice it among his other keys. The study door closed with a decisive click, followed by the sound of a lock turning. The twins shared a meaning